very good evening to everyone. It's been a while since we've managed to do an out-and-out podcast, but obviously with the lack of games, obviously 2 games being called off, the Watford game, the Arsenal game, we wanted to get this in before the end of the year, and it's quite apt that this one is obviously looking back on the year that's just gone and the year that is to come. And I'm delighted to be joined by my co-host, Manny. Hi, Manny.
Hi, Dave. Hi, everybody else. And obviously, there's been no football about, so we'll talk about something else.
Absolutely. And it's great to have for the whole hour. We've got Amy, and I know a lot of you will be really pleased to have Amy for an hour with us as well. How are you doing?
Hi, yeah, I'm good, thank you. Hope everyone's okay and had a good Christmas and things.
Absolutely. We'll come on to that in a second. And of course, absolute pleasure and delighted to welcome back Wolves legend Mel Eves. How you doing, Mel?
I'm very well, Dave. Thank you. Wish everybody compliments of the season, and as we go into the new year soon. So, yeah, really looking forward to catching up with everybody and talking a bit of Wolves. Yeah,
absolutely. And did you all have a good Christmas together with your families?
Yeah, it was just.
Go on.
Yeah, just the
shame
job.
There's no football.
I think that football was a big part of Christmas, wasn't it? Every year, and not having any matches to go to, home or away. You know, we had some good matches looking forward to, and just been strange, isn't it? I don't know what do you do on a Boxing Day without football?
Well, that's what I was thinking. I was like, I don't know what to do with myself today. I mean, to be fair, you obviously want to go and see Wolves play, but there were some very good games on Boxing Day and also yesterday. So it was a bit of a shame to miss out on seeing Wolves, but and yeah, it was just a bit frustrating. I just hope that the Man United game is on Monday, because I don't really want to have 3 games to catch up with.
It's quite interesting you say that, because you talk about like the Boxing Day. I mean, it was an early start, 12:30, and so I just took it on the chin. I was missing it, but I thought I haven't got to rush so much. Had a more leisurely day on Boxing Day, thinking, well, we've got Arsenal in 2 days, and then of course that one gets called off as well. But the first one called off, obviously Watford. I thought they would have been through the worst of their COVID situation. I think they played West Ham, didn't they? And they got walloped. And then obviously Wolves with injuries, and they had 6 positive cases. So, but all being well, from the report that Wolves put out yesterday, that they hope that most of those will be back ready for the United game, and obviously a couple of the injuries. So hopefully that game will be on, because we don't want to miss the first game in the new year as well, do we? Especially against Manchester United.
Yeah, no, hopefully. But I hope the players are all just safe and well, and that goes for kind of all the other clubs as well.
Absolutely. Well, it's obviously we're living through difficult times the last year and a half. We've what was obviously with the pandemic. We've lived through the lockdown, the full lockdown, 2 or 3 of those. We've had football for a whole year without the fans, and it's brilliant that that this season we've been able to be back, home and away, enjoying being in full stadiums, because football without the fans isn't it. And obviously we don't want to get into a position where we have the fans come away. So hopefully they'll get through this and it'll continue to move forward. But Mel, I mean, what's your take been generally on the year as a whole?
I think it's been pretty positive for Wolves. I think that the new manager has endeared himself really well. I'm scratching my head at times thinking about obviously the quality that we need is goal scoring. Unbelievable way that the team has responded and defended as a team and competed as a team, and being very positive in going forward, but not coming up with solutions is what managers usually say nowadays. We have to find solutions.
It's the word of 2021.
It's the in word. We have to find a solution. In my days, we've got to stick somebody in that can score goals, basically.
Yeah.
And if somebody's not scoring goals, you take them out. But the thing is, he's rotated everybody he's got. and they all flatter to deceive for me. The forwards are flattering to deceive, and none of them, even Raul Jimenez, isn't firing on all cylinders. So that's really the position that we're in. And if we'd got forwards that were actually stepping up to the plate, so to speak, and scoring goals, we'd be certainly in the top 6, and right up there with the Arsenals and West Hams easily. But that's the reason. And we just I've always said that we don't score enough goals from midfield. We have 2 of the world's best players in midfield, in João Moutinho and Ruben Neves. But we need. I like it when Dendonker's in there, because he adds that box to box, and he gets on the end of things, especially in the air. And we've got to find a way to score more goals. You look at Podence, great, talented, very talented player. You look at Trincao, again, great left foot, balance, no end product. You look at, obviously, the big enigma, Adama Traore. Wonderful. Sometimes worth the entrance fee alone if he gets on a run and beats half of their team in just one little run. It's just magical to see him. But again, if you're looking at it's a results business, there's no end product. It's amazing, but you don't get any points for it. It's like you don't get any points for having 20 corners to the opposition's 1. And the opposition score 1 goal and you don't. Sorry, you don't. You lost.
Mel, in your playing career, did you have any like really lean spells with the team, not just yourself, just the team having a really lean spell? And what was the kind of thing that you focused on? Because, the first 3 or 4 games we created a hatful, didn't we? And then suddenly we seem to have gone in our shell in a lot of the matches, and like defended really manfully, but created hardly anything. And so I was just wondering, in what's said in the dressing rooms when teams aren't scoring and you don't know where the next goal's coming from?
I don't think we didn't really have many times when things were going well, which was most of the time when I was at Wolves. Towards the end, probably when we got relegated, we weren't scoring goals, but that was down to personnel. Because if all of your top players suddenly leave the club, your goal scorers, you're going to struggle if you don't replace them. This really is about instilling. You've got to instill confidence. You've got to instill belief. I think sometimes there's a lack of belief, really, with the forwards
in front of goal.
Yeah.
I can understand that. Someone like Pedro Neto, we've missed him massively. Before he got injured, I think he got 5 goals, 5 assists or something like that. He was quite clearly our most threatening forward. He scored that goal against Southampton. What a goal that was. The one against Chelsea, memorable, really vital goals. And he was probably one of those forwards. Raul had that as well, but he hasn't really got backfiring to the old Raul that we know and love. And it will probably take a bit of time. But like you said, the other 2, Trincao, Traore, Podence, I'm still undecided about Podence. I just think I still think he's got a lot more to offer. I think his stats aren't that bad. I mean, he when he plays, but he seems never ever to play. Has Podence ever played 10 games in a row, for example? I don't think he ever has. He's always in and out.
I don't know. I think he's one of those. He's one of those players that, on his day, he's wonderful to watch. Very creative. Will probably make more goals than he scores, but he can score goals himself. So I think he's a valuable asset to the squad, definitely. But Pedro Neto, as soon as anything comes out about him coming back, it's going to lift the Wolves fan base immeasurably. I think everybody's going to be thinking it's Christmas again, because Pedro Neto is one hell of a player, and we've all just got our fingers crossed that he'll come back okay. He'll come back, his self, and that he won't be hampered.
We have to sort of like not put too much expectation on him, don't you think, Amy, for him to come back? And
I think he will be like a new signing, but like you said, you've got to think he's not going to come back in all guns blazing as he left off, like we've seen with Raul. I think it's I don't think they ever really replaced the Jota-Raul partnership, and I think that's probably what everyone is hoping for with Neto coming back, because Neto and Jota are pretty much like for like player in the way that they play made and going forward, etc. So I think it's unfair for people to pinpoint too much on Raul not scoring goals, because I think obviously what happened to him was horrendous, and it is going to take time for him to come back. And I don't think he's got the support up front. I think there's been so much focus from Large on the defence, but you can build a team from defence. And I think me and Dad were having this conversation last night, and we said, yeah, it's frustrating we're not scoring enough goals, which we aren't, but we're still 8th. And it's easier to get the goals than it is to sort out a shoddy defence. Like if you look at Leeds, they've got good forwards, especially when Bamford's back. However, they're leaking goals left, right and centre. They've got -18 in goal difference. That's a lot harder to fix than it is scoring goals, in my opinion anyway. So it's frustrating. I think the football that we've seen as of recent weeks isn't the best to watch as fans, because it's a bit like how Burnley have played. It's a bit backs up against the wall. There's no excitement going forward, and you go to football to cheer the goals instead of just sitting out and holding out from like 0-0 draws, which is obviously what we were trying to do against the bigger clubs that we played in the run up till Christmas. And to be fair, we nearly got 3 out of 3 0-0s against Man City, Liverpool and Chelsea, who you would say are the teams contending for the title. But I think it will come, and I think you can build a team from the back, can't you? Which is what I'm trying to look at it in a way, but it's a bit frustrating to watch as a fan.
Carl Whitehouse, because he's been obviously he gets a lot of his stats and figures, but from Wolves Analytics on Twitter, which I picked up. It's 42 goals in a calendar year is apparently the lowest since 1922-34 in terms of league goals, and it's the 3rd lowest ever after 1919 and 1981. And there's another stat here.
17.
Yeah, sorry. 0.85 league goals is the lowest ever after 1922. 17 home league goals in a season. So, but I think you make a very good point. The fact that we do have the 3rd best defensive record this year.
Yeah, it would be a lot more concerning if we were leaking goals. And I think Sarah's just been, for me, a complete revolution. Like evolution is probably the better word, because I just think Sar's been absolutely fantastic since he set foot on the first game this season. I really, really do. It's great. It's such a different goalkeeper to Patricio, and I think we was all quite a bit worried when Patricio left. Thought, oh God, we've lost a world class keeper. Who we're going to get in instead? But yeah, you look at his stats and just absolutely unreal. I think I get more impressed every time I see him, and I think
he's in everyone's fantasy football team now, isn't he, Amy? I think.
I don't play fantasy football, but I think if I did, he would be.
He would be. I think he's the highest point scorer in that aspect. You saw Gary Neville on Monday Night Football was asked who his signing of the season so far was, and he said Jose Sarr, which is, a big accolade to have, because let's be honest, when we signed him, we all thought, oh, who's this geezer? That's a big shoes to fill. And the thing is, it instills so much confidence. You've got Cody, Kilman and Seiss, and everybody was thinking, is this defense, going to be good enough? And now they all look so much better. It's like having a 4th defender. When he comes out for the ball, he clears the ball, on corners. I think there's 3 or 4 occasions where he's come out, even though that always, sometimes you can make a mistake when you come out, and you can put up with that mistake if you've got a really positive keeper. And I think I don't think there's a single fan that would say that Sarr hasn't, like Amy said, been a complete, success and beyond what we thought, and a massive part on why the defence are doing so well.
And he seems like a joke guy as well. His Instagram captions are great, so he seems like a top guy as well, which I like that.
I think he's, like you say, I think he's been a bit of a revelation. The way he commands his area, the way he's always looking to get the ball away quickly, get Wolves on the counter, and the way he's sort of like, he's a good shot stopper. He's proved that in the last couple, 2, 3, 4 games. He's made some crucial saves. He looks world class to me. I mean, Mel, what's your take on Jose Sarr from a striker's point of view? And
yeah, I think he's absolutely top draw. I was a big Rui Patricio fan. I thought it was wonderful that we got somebody of his quality and took advantage of the situation at the time at his club in Portugal. And to get somebody like that, I thought was wonderful. But like many, I was a little bit concerned when we saw that he was going. And then, but I don't think that anybody need have worried, because I think that Sarr has been absolutely fantastic. And from a striker's point of view, he does all the right things, which is really annoying, because I'm putting myself, as far as the opposition are concerned, he reads the game very well. His timing, and it's all about timing and positioning with keepers. Yes, you can make the top draw saves out the top corner or the bottom corner, and it looks great for the TV and the pictures in the paper. But the big thing about keepers is organisation. He's commanding your box, and he's it's really important. So I think we've been very blessed, and congratulations to the recruitment team at Wolves. Which sometimes goes unnoticed, but and they're always going to have contingency plans for each position. If various things happen, long-term injuries or players get transferred, etc. So, yeah, that's a big ticks for the recruitment department, because I think he's even improved on what we were with under Patricio. But the other thing is that we've kept a very steady defence of your core of your team, your keeper and your 3 defenders. We've kept it with Romain Saiz, who's been different class, and he's kept the bookings down as well, because he loves a booking, doesn't he? Because he's really competitive, and he's a bit niggly, and you pick up too many easily bookings. But he's been really kind of focused in that respect. Connor Cody's been different class.
I think Cody's been his best. It's been his best season yet this season.
But it's not just what he does; it's how he organises everybody. That's the point. It's the same with the Brazilian lad that plays for Chelsea, who comes in. He's 37.
Thiago Silva.
What's his name? Thiago Silva. Yeah.
Yeah.
He just he didn't break sweat in the Wolves game.
No, he didn't.
Because he read the game so well. But Connor Cody's getting into that standard. He's not that standard yet, but he's top draw. Cody. And then the one that everybody's talking about, because he's just grows from strength to strength, and he just does it without kind of batting an eyelid, really. Kind of, he's young Max Kilman. I watch to see how he defends, not so much in the air, because he's a big guy and he's decent in the air, because he's got an advantage in that respect, but how he copes with the players that are really good on the floor, the really quick players. Because you look at tall defenders don't like nippy kids going round them and getting round their feet. So you'd expect people like all of the players he will play against. For instance, when he played against Man City, Silva and Mahrez and everybody like that, the players that can run at you, Grealish, etc. Then you've even got some of the really quick players like Sterling. You think they would upset him, but he hasn't. He just hasn't fluttered, or he hasn't been caught out by anybody yet for me.
No.
And that's been the big thing. Even Mo Salah and I know he's playing on the other side.
Oh, Aiden did a really good job on most.
You know, the point is
Mane, who's quick as, by the way. They're not catching him out, and I'm thinking, and he's growing in confidence all the time.
But the defense. If you look at the defense as a whole rather than individuals, if you look at Semedo, if we say Semedo, Ait-Nouri, Saiss, Kilman, and Cody, are they all five of them? Are they all better than last season defensively? The answer from virtually all Wolves fans would be yes. So there must be something in the background. We were absolutely awful on a set piece. We're now going into the new year having not conceded a single set piece.
Well, the only team in the Premier League not to have conceded a set piece.
So that someone like Tony Roberts.
They practice set pieces like.
So Tony Roberts, apparently, who's a goalkeeper coach, is also the set piece guy. So he's the person who arranges and organises the set piece and the second ball on the set piece, both in terms of attacking and defensive. So it's not just a coincidence that all five are improved on last year. There must be something within the coaching and within the background, and we have to give credit to the backroom staff here.
Believe it or not, Manny. That's why they go in training every day and they work at this kind of stuff. I know that it seems familiar. I remember there was a lady once come to me and said, "Oh, I met her at a function, as you do." And she was dressed up all very, 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 very nicely. She said, "Oh, tell me, Mel, what do you do? What do you do during the week? Then do you just open shops and things like that? And I'm thinking, well, we actually train pretty well every day. And she was so surprised. She just thought that we all just kind of rocked up there at about 2:30, just went and get changed, went straight onto the pitch, played, come back, and then we didn't. We just came back for the next game. It's amazing how you've got to realise that some people just haven't got a Scooby. They have not got a Scooby-Doo.
We know. Most of them run the country. We know.
But yeah. So we sometimes make the mistake of kind of assuming, which makes an ass out of you and me, that people know how everything works, but they don't. And you've hit the nail on the head there, Manny, in the fact that and Amy said, they work at it, and you don't get the kind of results on a consistent basis that Wolves do if they don't work at it consistently. And they're getting the results because they're putting the work in on that on the training ground down at Compton.
100%.
Simple as that.
Yeah, exactly. And so, we talked about like our standout players for the year. I think we've talked about like Sarr and Kilman and Cody over the course of the year. Has been incredibly, especially like since the new season started. But Amy, I'm going to fire this one at you first. What would your low point from a Wolves point of view this year be, and what would your high point be for 2021?
I think Nuno going was tough, to be fair. I think we obviously, it was just a bit of a shock of it all, wasn't it? Like, we know last season wasn't great, but I think especially when we've spoken about this on the extra time shows when we were in lockdown, there was a lot, for me personally, there was a lot of other reasons for that. And I think it was a bold move of the club to do it. And I think in hindsight now, looking back, I do agree it was the right thing to do, because I think if it had have continued, if Nuno had stayed and continued this season, there wouldn't have been the changes that we've just discussed in the type of play and the type of setup. It would just kind of continued, probably wouldn't have had any more backing for X, Y, and Z reason. So I think it would have turned quite sour quite quickly. And I obviously feel for what happened to him at Spurs. I really do, because I think he's a great guy that just kind of got run into the ground almost by that Spurs job. And it's sort of seen online some fans like badmouth him and say he should have just gone back to Portugal. He like betrayed Wolves and all of this stuff, but he got sacked at the end of the day. Like, he did get sacked from Wolves. So I think that was a bit of a low point. But then on the flip side, I think it was definitely for the right reasons and was definitely the change that needed to happen at that time. So fair play to the board. They're there to do a job. They don't have the emotional attachment that we do as fans have. So, you know, that was a good move from them. And then I think the low point was losing to the Albion and only getting a point off them, but I don't really want to talk about that too much. And the high point for me was Villa. Villa away. It's just unbelievable. Like, that is for me 15 minutes of epitomizing why we go through all the heartache and the pain and everything just for those 15 minutes of like complete joy and pandemonium and everyone falling on one another and all of that stuff. So yeah, I think that was probably the bet. But like I said, there's been some great talent come out at the start of the season. I think Kilman for me is player of the season. I was a big fan of him last year, and I think
you're on about Nuno as well, Amy. I'm not sure he would have got his chance under Nuno because he didn't.
No, I don't think he would. It was all rumours of him going, and everything happens for a reason, doesn't it? And I think it was tough to take at the time, but that was just more emotion of it all. But it was good. He got to walk away from Wolves, and 95% of fans will still consider him the hero and god that he is in the city. So I think, yeah.
Absolutely. And Manny, for you?
For me, you know, I'll change it a little bit because obviously, you know, the Villa match was such a emotional match to watch, even though I wasn't there present, so I wouldn't have experienced what Amy did. I'd say the lowest point for me was watching Wolves play against Burnley at home, even though we weren't there. So we were in lockdown, nobody's allowed to go. And then we watched Wolves play Burnley, and Chris Wood completely, utterly battered us. And this was a Burnley team not even really doing that well. And it was so... just your heart sank and you thought, what the hell? When we do go back, what have we got to look forward to? You know, and I think that was one of those games. I know that the Albion game was, but I think that game was probably a real big, another one in Fosun's head where we thought, if we can't compete against Burnley at home, then something might be wrong here, you know. And that was probably watching from afar the lowest, and the best moment. I'm gonna change it a little bit, and it was Southampton away. We needed a win. We'd had a pretty iffy start, even though we'd played well, and Raul, you know, gets the ball from that long clearance, twists in and out, and puts the ball in the back of the net. And you know, after everything he's been through, and we've all seen the documentary, and you know how close he probably was to never playing football ever again. To see a player rise from that, get back onto a pitch, and then score like this individual goal where he's on his own against the defence, and we're actually shouting for him to pass it wide, but he knows what he's doing, and he finds the back, and that celebration and the win. I thought that was a real big moment. Having him back scoring goals, so I'd go for that as a highlight of this season.
Yeah, it's probably a highlight Raul in general, making the recovery that he has, and I think it obviously rings more true after everyone's watched that documentary of just how incredibly close to, I mean, not playing football anymore. Not, you know, if he'd have had that elsewhere where they've not got the second stuff happen to him, then it could be a completely different story. So I think that's just hard to watch, but incredible to watch and witness.
It's inspiring. It gives you hope as well as, you know, emotion. It gives you hope as well that you can actually make a comeback, and the body is a resilient thing, and with enough support around you, you can battle back from, you know. And just that Chris Wood absolutely battering us. Another high for me is how we have played the Chris Woods, the Antonios, you know, the strikers that absolutely mauled us. Didn't get a kick. We beat West Ham, you know, and we played really well, I thought, against Burnley, and it just shows you that, you know, the changes that have made, because those are kind of strikers we couldn't handle. So that's a positive of the whole year as well, I suppose. But yeah, I'd go for the Raul goal. And
And you, Mel, because probably you're on commentary a lot of the time when you're there.
Yeah, so I'll just echo what Amy and Manny are saying in the fact that I was at Villa and I'm actually next to Gary Thompson, who's doing it for who's obviously an ex-Villa striker. I'm the Wolves striker.
On WM.
On WM, we're at the front of the press box. You've got Mike Taylor, who's doing the commentary next to on Gary's left. I'm on Gary's right, so we're in the middle, and got Daz Hale here on the right. And Daz Hale is actually running the show, running the what you call the BBC Sport for the day, West Midlands, obviously WM. So he's not commentating, but he's there. So he's not live. Anyway, 2-0 down. I'm virtually saying to Gary Thompson, well, yeah, Villa have probably done enough to edge this, and Wolves haven't really done enough. And anyway, Wolves get that one back, don't they? Anyway, Daz elbows me. He's going, come on. He said, could be interesting. And then when we get into 2-2, he's going ballistic here, Daz, but he's not on air, so nobody knows. And I've got to restrain myself because obviously anything I say they can pick up.
Yeah.
So and I'm going, yeah. Wolves have deserved it. I said I'd be a bit gutted if I was Villa because before that they've probably done enough to win the game, But in a game of few chances and what have you. But then when we got the winner, me and Daz, we were both out the seats. I was out the seat.
It was scenes. It was actual scenes.
And I'd got
scenes.
That's it. I'd got my camera. I'd got my my mobile, and I was filming the Wolves fans right opposite us. Where all the Wolves fans were.
Oh, it was amazing.
And I just said, the place has gone absolutely ballistic. Gary Thompson's on my left. He's kind of stunned. He's kind of going. You could see it's like a big air balloon. You've put a pin in it. It's just gone.
Yeah.
Totally and utterly deflated. They cannot believe what had happened. So, I mean, to witness that and to obviously commentate on it or summarize on it was wonderful. I'd say I had the pleasure of doing the Southampton game away, Manny, and I was absolutely waxing lyrical about Raul with that goal. It was wonderful. And then I was also waxing lyrical because you mentioned about the fact that we got bullied a little bit by West Ham, Mikel Antonio in particular. And I thought at the timing of the season and how things were going, that and West Ham were flying, weren't they? I think they'd just beaten Liverpool, hadn't they?
Yeah.
And I thought, what a test this is. If we can get something out of this, and I think the vast majority of Wolves fans would have taken a draw before the game. I think,
easily.
100%. I was terrified before that game. I thought we were going to get.
And I think most
slaughtered.
people, Amy, you've just absolutely said what everybody's thinking. Everybody was very nervous about it because we didn't want to get spanked 4-0 as we did in previous seasons. And but the way we went about it, and then the goal that we did score, we did an absolutely magnificent defensive job as a team because you defend as a team. It's not just the back three and the keeper.
Yeah,
defended as a team. And then that goal, the interpassing all the way up to, I think it was Pedence pulling it back for Raul to
and how Pedence picked the pass, the composure to pick the pass.
Oh, he's a talent, Pedence. Make no mistake about it. I think he's great to have in the team. As you say, he might not start every game, but he's a tremendous talent. And I think that was one of the highlights for me was the West Ham game on the two fronts. Both the fact that we dealt with the challenge that West Ham give to every team, physically mainly, because they've got some big units. I mean, you look at in midfield, Souček and it's usually Rice They're both good 6'1", 6'2" lads, really good physically, but they get box to box as well. They're good on the floor. But Souček especially scores goals. And then the front three are very good. Obviously, Antonio causes most problems, but I thought we did such a good job that day. That was probably one of the most pleasing 90 minutes for me that we've played. And you're talking about disappointments. Can I swear on this?
Well, if beep beep.
Yeah, right. I'm just going to say one word: VAR.
We're going to come on to that.
We're going to come on as a separate section. That is, hold your horses, Mel. Hold your horses.
Well, all I'm saying is VAR, Manchester City. Yeah. And I called it at the time. That was before I had the benefit of actually seeing a still on the screen in front of me at the Etihad. And I called it on the radio, and I said, that's never a penalty. And I tell you what, gut instinct, I know, because Joe Martino's reaction was the key.
He was going epileptic.
Joe Martino's reaction was to say, it's here. It's hit me here. In other words, as soon as it went out for a corner, he just went, as if someone were appealing for a penalty. He just went, nah, it's there. And he didn't expect it to be given a penalty. It was nowhere near a penalty. It's never a penalty in a million years. And this is where corruption comes in for me. You've got to be careful what you say. And I didn't say that.
Don't worry. Sepp Blatter's not watching this.
I didn't say allegedly. But if that's not big club bias, I don't know what is.
You know what he just said. When people hear the word corruption, and they say, "Oh, that's a bit far-fetched." It's a bit, Actually, believe it or not, I look at other countries, and you look at China and India, especially in their sporting events. We know it's rife because it's so much money. There's so much money involved in the sport.
Oh, I know.
You're talking billions and billions of pounds changing hands, millions on players, huge wages. It's so easy to try and tempt someone, actually, and people get tempted. So, when people mention corruption, they do bat it away. But you see some of the decisions, and, like Chelsea and Man United and the penalty decisions they get, and you see others, and it does baffle you. And we've got no proof sitting here that happens.
That's why I'm saying, that's why I'm when I mentioned corruption, I'm not saying so. I'm not mentioning a certain person or people are corrupt.
Yeah,
I'm just saying that's that for me. But the thing is that we're so arrogant in this country to believe that that only happens in other places.
Yeah,
and you're thinking, really?
Let's be honest. The biggest decision next year. The biggest decision that FIFA have made is to hold a World Cup in a country that has no history of football at all. That's not about reaching other destinations. That's all about money. Qatar is all about money, filling the pockets of the money men in football, buying the votes and getting the World Cup. And that's all that's about. That's the biggest bribery scandal you could ever. And
allegedly, you have to insert allegedly.
No, that's I 100% believe that. They can come for me if they want.
I'm with you, Manny. I 100% agree. There's no two ways about it. It should have been in England in the summer next year. It should have been England 2022, and that is that. There's no way it should be
winter, and they're having to shorten the season. Before we get on to talking about refereeing, because there is a question on this. My lowest point, I'll get through mine pretty quickly. I think Nuno, when he was sacked, I was like everyone a lot. I was really down. I think it was more the shock than anything else. I think like what Amy's touched on, because it came out of absolutely nowhere. We're all thinking, okay, let's crack on next season. And it was very well thought of and loved by the majority. I know there's a lot of people that were quite vicious on getting him out. But he went, You get over it, don't you? And Bruno Lage, I said at the time it's going to go one way or the other, this decision. And as Amy referred to, I think he's doing a decent job. He's doing a good job. I don't think we're going to see the best of a Bruno Lage team until we've got through another 2 transfer windows, the January one and next summer, because obviously he's still playing with a lot of his squad. He's got his ideas on how he wants to play. And he has been brought in to be an attacking manager, and I think we saw that early doors in the season, but he has been very philosophical and built from the back, and he's doing something right with that. And I think if come next season, I think we'll start seeing us being a little bit more, maybe the system will change. I think the Crystal Palace away game, I think the weather was horrible. We were just passing.
It's horrible.
It was a miserable weekend. The game was there at half time. I thought he should have gone to 3 midfielders at that, brought Donk on, and we lost the midfield. We lost the game. I thought that was a low point. Obviously, people have mentioned Burnley. Southampton away, I went for the weekend. It was brilliant. The sun was out. It was a brilliant atmosphere. Raul scored that goal. You saw obviously from our fans' point of view, we were ecstatic, and the way Mel said he took the goal. But when you could see what it meant to the whole team, Raul scoring that goal, the emotion for the team as a team, for him scoring that, and it just meant so much to everyone. But of course, I don't think you can top the Villa game. I'll just let you into a little bit of an insight. My niece's fella went to the game. He got a ticket. Doesn't go. He must have picked up someone's ticket. He was there. He was literally sitting behind me. And he went, all right, Dave. I was like, all right. He went. He left. He went 20 minutes to go. He said, Dave, I can't watch any more of this. I'm like, there's 25 minutes to go. Anything can still happen. It's only 2-0. 2-0 dangerous score on it. Okay, we were being dominated and, we didn't look like it. But he went. And he missed it's only happened 2 other times in the Premier League. A team that's been losing into the 81st minute has come back and won 3-2. It's only happened 3 times, Wolves being one of them. And like you
said, law of averages, he was probably okay to go, wasn't he?
Yeah, but you don't. This is why you never leave a game early. I never understand it personally. But like when the first one gets in, we're like, come on, we can get a point. When Cody equalises, we're going nuts. We think we've got a point. And then Traore makes that run, as he does. He hasn't got any assists, but he made that free kick. Neves, we're thinking, it's the 94th minute. I'm obviously vlogging it. I'm saying on my vlog, can you imagine what's going to happen if this goes in? It's going to be bedlam. If you haven't watched that vlog, watch it on my channel. It's unbelievable. It's the atmosphere and the reactions of the fans, insane. And then he shoots. And obviously, it's not a worldie, is it? It hits, target on the side, and we all lose the ball. Or I felt lost the track of the ball for a split second, and then you just see the ball going like this, and everyone's like,
it looks like so slow motion.
It's slow motion, and then the whole place erupted, and it was for about 5 minutes afterwards. We're still hugging strangers, running around, going nuts. Villa Park emptied, I think, after the second goal, very fast, and then it was insane. And to be there to witness that, all the lows and everything that you go through as a fan, and to be able to embrace that, that's got to be my number one moment for the year for me. To be honest, that game was just, yeah. Still, I'm buzzing about it even now. Mel, we got a question. I'm going to get onto VAR. I know Manny and Amy will have something to say about this as well. Comes from Joe on Twitter. He says, were the refs as bad in Mel Eves' day as what is his thoughts as having Mike Dean and a Villa fan on VAR again for the Man U game?
Please do not swear.
I think the VAR is a tool. It's a bit like anything else. It's a bit like mobile phones, computers, anything, and the tools on those. It's a tool that can be used. It's a bit like your best Swiss Army knife or something. It's a tool, but in the wrong hands, it can cause blooming mayhem.
Kill somebody.
Yeah, absolutely. In the right hands, top surgeon can save somebody's life. In the wrong hand, it can take somebody's life. So it's the same with VAR. But the big thing with VAR, it should be more, certainly more yes or no, black or white. And even the ones where 99% of the people are saying, oh yeah, well that's a goal or that's not a goal, they're disagreeing with. And I'm thinking, really? Because the vast majority of the ones that I get to look at, and I'm commentating on, or I'm summarising the commentary from usually Mike Taylor, I will say, well, before I even look at it, my gut feeling says, this. And I go with my gut feeling. Very, very rare. The occasional offside, which is very, very marginal, I might get it wrong, but the vast majority of the time, gut feeling, spot on. Now, sometimes the decisions from the referee, and some of the times when they don't ask for the VAR, that's the one that's me. I'm thinking, hold on, VAR is there to help the referee make really important decisions. Against Chelsea, Conte, N'Golo Conte should have been sent off. Could have easily been sent off if the
Pedence was through.
Exactly. If the referee says he didn't give anything. That was the point. It's obviously a foul. Conte's arm isn't like that. It's out. It's there. It's 45 degrees. It's stopping. He clearly handled it, and he had plenty of time. It wasn't as if the ball was kicked at him from a yard or 2 yards away. So he got plenty of time to adjust. He didn't. It's a handball. The referee's got a decision to make then. But he gives the third decision. It's usually only one or two decisions, yes or no. But he gives nothing to see there, Gov. Oh, nothing to answer there for. Well, we've got all the evidence. We've got all the evidence, Gov. There it is. Oh no, sorry, nothing to see here. In other words, it's just brushed under the carpet. And the big thing with VAR is it's supposed to give what you would call even fairness and the right decisions, the clear-cut decisions. It's supposed to help out with that. If there's a clear kind of mistake.
Clear and obvious error, isn't it? That's what they say in the terminology. It's to rectify a clear and obvious mistake, but it's not used for that. It's
supposed to collect. Thanks for helping me, Amy.
It's all right, no worries.
I have these senior moments. I'm a bit older than you. So it's supposed to clear up clear and obvious errors. That was a clear and obvious error. So why hasn't VAR said to the referee?
You know the question you just asked, why? And this is, if you watch cricket or if you watch rugby, if you watch other sports that have been using this type of technology for a number of years, straight away, when as the person watching, you hear the VAR guy saying, the attacker did this, the defender did this, and that's what we think. And you get a clear vision. So when Moutinho puts his arm out and it hits his ribs, we should be able to hear a VAR official say to the referee, we've had a look at it, we think it's hit his arm, or it's not hit his arm. We should be able to hear that conversation.
Well, right? They do in rugby.
And we should be able to hear the conversation.
Even in American football, which have been going on for longer than anything, they do get the help, and they actually tell them exactly what they think. This is it. Foul by number 55. Bump. Defender.
Yeah.
Bump that way. And that's it.
But the thing is, when you hear that, you've got information. A lot of the time, we've got no information. Here we are, how many weeks after the event, and none of us actually know what the referee thought, what the VAR official thought, and what decision they came.
You just get a statement.
They quite clear. They
quite clearly that they couldn't find the correct still, and Match of the Day found the correct still quite quickly.
Well, Amy, I watch Match of the Day most of the time, unless I'm at, if I'm at a function or I'm out at the pub. When I say function, it could be at the pub, don't worry, But I watched Match of the Day in particular, and I'm going to say, what are they going to say about this? Because I was apoplectic, really, and I'm trying not to swear, because obviously I'm on the BBC, aren't I? So one has to be very, very proper. And I did everything but, to be perfectly honest, that's within the guidelines to say, well, you've got to be careful about calling them cheats. You've got to be careful about corruption. You've got to be careful about this. But I'm saying everything that virtually points to the fact that we was robbed, mate. We was robbed.
They've had 3 years of trying to sort it out, and actually they've made it worse. They made the system worse. I think it's people from the other sports, cricket, rugby, not so much cricket, but cricket, but certainly rugby and American football. Yeah.
They must think it's so Mickey Mouse the way that and this is the world sport, football, played in more countries than any. American football is like the World Series and all this business, but because that's because it's played in America, because most Americans don't realize there's anything outside America. But
sorry to the American viewers today, but to carry on.
my American friends would agree with me.
Yeah, go on.
But it's so amateur in the most professional sport. There's so much money involved throughout the world now in the Premier League that they still can't get the VAR.
I don't think it's VAR that's the problem. I think it's the people running VAR. I think the level of referees in this country at the moment, in Premier League referees, is absolutely appalling.
You think there's a little bit
it's the VR technology. It's the technology, but it's the application of it, which is what is incorrect.
It's not
VAR.
Absolutely, Amy. I've said that the technology itself is first class, and it should be used.
I don't think it is. I still think it isn't. If you're saying we didn't have all the angles, if you're saying you can't hear what the referee and the VAR official
I think that's
saying,
an excuse.
If you can't draw lines properly from the point of where
the application of people using it, in my opinion.
That's what I'm saying. So it hasn't got all the things that we need it to be. Obviously it's going to be a human being who designs everything and puts it out there. It hasn't got everything we need to give us the right information. I don't think the actual system, compared to the system tennis have introduced, the system cricket have introduced, the system that rugby have introduced, they've still got human beings running it. The system is much more clearer. It's accurate. You hear things, you see lines. It looks visually, it looks really right and proper.
Reasons why they don't want it to be that.
How many times have you seen it offside? We are watching football in ultra HD 4K, and then we get an offside decision with the still that looks like it's been taken on your, Olympus 500 35mm camera from like 30 years ago, and that still happens.
I think the offside this season is a lot better, though. I genuinely think that there's not as many controversial things about the offside now because they've given the benefit of the attacking players a lot more.
They didn't do that yesterday, though, did they?
I think Kane was offside now. He was.
I watched it yesterday.
I was listening to Talk Sport and they're on about like it should be just on their foot, and I'm like, you're never going to get a perfect system with the offside, but it was more. There is a bigger tolerance, and he had the momentum going forward, and how can strikers are always going to be going forward to make that run, and
but he's not. Thing is, you know what? If you're talking about a game which is about scoring goals, creating excitement, Kane ain't going to score a goal with his arm. He can't score it. So if he's leaning forward, You know,
It wasn't his arm, was it? It was.
Yeah, it was his sleeve. It was a sleeve. That's where the line was drawn, from its sleeve. He ain't going to score a goal with that part. You know, they would disallow it if he
I
did
think
that.
overall the offside has been a lot better with VAR this
I'd
season.
agree with Amy.
There's not been as many toes and fingernails or whatever we had last year offside. So I think that for me is improved. But the thing which summed it up for me is when we look back to the City weekend game, all the top teams had penalties that weekend that meant that they won their games. And you say about the application and stuff, but there's obviously there is something behind it, because that's just, for me, that's just too coincidental. The fact that these teams are getting these decisions and Wolves haven't had one penalty this year.
Just going back to the Man City game, because I know we're going back to that, and it's been referenced in many TV programs. I think it was being referenced on Match of the Day last night, when I think someone was talking about it. It was, how do you think the fact that there was a Mariner who is a Villa fan, we know was on that game, that there was a personal bias, that because how can they say there was, he didn't see, with all the multiple camera angles, they showed it on Match of the Day within 2 seconds, that they couldn't see that was off, that didn't hit his arm, and everyone
100%,
else in the world could.
100%. It's biased. That's why I say it's the referees and the people that are running it. That's what the flaw is, because the referees aren't. That Jonathan Moss should not be a referee. I'd be a better referee than he is, because he's awful. Which game did he ref the other day? Was it the Spurs Palace game on Sunday?
Awful. He was horrific.
He's
horrific.
Absolutely horrendous. He's got no control over the game whatsoever. And the players know, and then VAR has to, whoever's manning VAR has to come.
Was there
the player on the pitch?
There was a home game.
Control.
Ame, there was a home game recently.
There was. Who was it?
No, there was one that we had where the referee was really good. Let's be honest.
It
was only one game, and we didn't really know him. We didn't know his name, and he was unnoticed.
I can't remember. Was it the Liverpool
was it West Ham
game?
or was it? It was a newish one. I can't remember his name. Anyway, he was a newish one. It was his first game. I think it was the Burnley, wasn't it? Yeah, Brighton.
Burnley.
I think it was the Burnley game.
Yeah,
and
so
did very well.
Yeah, there must be.
We should have won that game. Obviously, that was the one when Adam.
Smashed the crossbar. Yeah,
smashed the crossbar.
But what I'm saying is, there's a definite decline in refereeing standards. Everybody can see that. We are now sitting here Monday, looking forward to our first game. Hopefully, touch wood, and we're all Mike Dean, Andre Mariner, because we know these guys. Mike Dean is a show. He's a showman. He likes to be the centre of attention, and he wants to, be seen. He's on TV. It's Old Trafford. He ain't going to stay out the way. He's not going to stay out the limelight and then let the game flow. And then you've got this guy in VAR who is, what the hell? The guy has made so many bad decisions. For me, when you make a decision on any moment, you have to be positive. If you're not positive, you can't give the decision. So as soon as you think, did that touch his arm? As soon as you got that question, you can't give a positive decision, i.e. penalty. A penalty can only be a penalty if you are positive. Yes, it has hit his arm. So as soon as you've got a doubt, which he did have because VAR took so long. So the longer it goes on, the guy's obviously looking. He's got to say, I can't give that a penalty because I've got doubt. As soon as you've got a doubt, you can't give the positive, you can't just say, oh, go on then, give a penalty because it may have hit his arm.
Well, we were hoping, because usually the longer it takes, is the 99% chances they're going to reverse the decision. So me and my dad was like, oh yeah, they're going to reverse it, and then
they were just toying with us, Amy.
I know.
There was somebody in the VAR room putting a brown envelope underneath the door, probably. Allegedly.
I was really hungover, so they probably thought, "Oh, look at that girl in the crowd. They're going to make a day even worse."
The thing is that it is all about getting the right decision, and when Wolves only lose the game to that decision,
don't forget we played 10 men,
and we've played for the whole of the second half with 10 men, because Raul got sent off just before half time, didn't he? So. What a wonderful performance from Wolves, and on how to defend as a team and limit Man City to very, very few chances. And that was why it was just one of the biggest kick in the whatsits to lose just for that one decision. And it was as has been proven, totally and utterly incorrect. It wasn't even a 50. It was sometimes you'll get that, sometimes you won't. It should have been a categorically, it was not a penalty.
Even if it was a 50-50, I don't think you can give a 50-50 decision.
Well,
it has to be, it is, and then it isn't.
You look in the context of the play. You look in the context. It's right on the edge of the box. It's going. The guy's not shooting towards goal, so it's not as if it's stopping a goal-bound shot. He's not picking out anybody. Really, you look in the whole context of everything. It's so unfair and corrupt. It is absolutely unbelievable.
Someone's just mentioned Mike Dean. I watched this live on telly when that game where that long-range shot was about to go in the net, and he ran across the line of the ball going towards the goal. He ran across in front, and he made, rather than running away to be out of the way of the action, he ran in front of the ball, and then the guy shoots and it ends up in the top corner. And I thought, what? That's something like that. Basic refereeing. That's like basic refereeing, knowing where to position yourself, where to run, where to be, how to see the whole game. And you've got these almost utterly almost clowns. These guys are just in it to be on TV, I think, and just make a name for themselves. It seems like he revels on people having a go at him, Mike Dean, and telling us that he's a showman. He thinks he's winking at the camera. He's like, he does things that antagonises football fans, and then he makes decisions that are so absurd and quite clearly that favour the bigger teams.
Well, the other thing is that the big thing about that isn't the fact that he's given a penalty in the first place. Because the thing is, the ball's gone out for a corner. So he blows his whistle. Yeah, it's a corner, or it's a corner or a penalty. So he's blowing his whistle. He then wants time, doesn't he? He then, well, help me out, will you? I think it might have been a penalty, is it? And that's it. And then he just stops.
So what were refs like in your time? In your day? Sorry. In your day, what were refs like? How did you? What type of relationship did you have with refs?
Well, the thing is, the difference which I see now is that you could. I don't see it as much now. Well, nowhere near as much. You could actually talk to the referees when I played. You could actually ask them a civil question. And you turn around and say, "Flip, yeah. That was a goal kick, ref. It's come off so and so." And or you say you got that wrong, and you go, "Yeah, I might have got that wrong." But then he turn around and say, "Well, you're not having the best of games yourself, are you?" And
but you respected him for probably that,
Yeah, but you won't see him having that now, or you won't see him having the banter with the players. In the right way, where you knew it wasn't favouring one team or the other. He was just doing his job and just calling it. If you knew a ref was fair, that's all you want. That's all you want. Then they're going to give the best decision that they can. But
I think we've probably done this.
It's travelling over to.
Is it this subject the problem about till midnight, and it's still at the same point unless
we move on from it.
Unless we magically get this busload of new referees arrive.
But you still get the problem that you very rarely get a penalty. The away team very rarely gets a penalty at Old Trafford, a penalty at Man City, a penalty at Liverpool.
Well, hopefully we'll get a penalty on Monday to start the new year off well. Let's hope.
Unless it's clear and obvious, Mike Dean won't give it, but
just wear red shirts to the game or something.
Well, yeah, unless it's Mike Dean, the referee. Then do we know who it is?
Yes, he is the referee.
Mariner on VAR.
Manchester United have been struggling, so they've called in Mike Dean for some help.
I was going to say they've called both of them in, then, haven't they?
Yeah, they've called the big guns in. Yeah.
Anyway, look, I've got another question, which we want to move on. Looking forward to the to 2022. From Kev Wolf, do you feel Fosun are doing a good enough job running the football side of things? And also a couple of other questions about the January window and how you think we're going to fare the rest of the season. Amy, we'll go with you on this one first.
Okay. What's the question? Was that the question, or was there a
are Fosun doing a good enough job? And,
I thought you were going to ask the question then. General topic.
Yeah.
I think in terms of Fosun, I think it would be proof is in the pudding. I think someone mentioned on the comments earlier the fact that Large is doing a good job considering the team is very much an inherited team. And I think we'll be able to see if they give him his opportunity with some cash in January. I think retaining players is important. I don't think we've got enough. I think that's probably the priority, is retaining players. I think we've got a few good people that will come back, i.e. Neto and Johnny Otto, and hopefully Bolly as well. So there's another option at the back when they've been back from African Cup of Nations. But I think that, I don't think you can say Fosun aren't doing a good job. They've obviously had influence in the Nuno decision, and I think we've touched on the fact that it probably was the right thing to do, given what has happened since. And I think January transfer windows, I haven't really got anyone in mind. I don't really go into too much rumours on transfers because usually they're a load of rubbish. So I just think we need to strengthen up front and just get that working. I think we've got the talent there. I do think that it's very obvious from the coaching staff the focus has been the defence. There's obviously, like we've said before, something happening in the behind the scenes about that. So I don't necessarily know whether a signing is needed. It might just be getting those players to work better together. Signings don't fix everything. William Jose scored 1 goal last year, and he was the key signing in last year's January transfer window. So we shall see.
Manny, you'll almost
first of all, let's start on a bit of a positive, because Fosun got rid of Nuno and they bought in Bruno Lage. So let's go through the team. We got a better goalkeeper. Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
All 5 defenders are better at defending than last year. Yes. Joe Moutinho has totally shocked and surprised me how fit and strong and how he's lasting through games, because everyone thought his legs are gone. Yes. Ruben Neves is a better Ruben Neves than last year. Yes.
He's playing further forward, isn't he?
Further forward. That pass, mate, that pass he did for the Brighton goal against Brighton, right? That pass, that was De Bruyne. That was Messi. We'd have it. There'd be gifs and memes. It'd be all around the world. Unbelievable. The pace, the accuracy, because it's such a short space to do that and land it right on a sixpence. And it was a good finish, we know, but amazing. So those are real great positives. The negative is obviously we're not scoring goals. So they decided last year to spend 35 million quid on a striker who now looks like he will never get a kick at Wolves. Let's be honest. Huang was injured, Raul was injured, and still couldn't get on the pitch, right? So we've got a problem, and it's scoring goals. And are Fosun doing a good job? They're better owners than we've had in previous times. They got us to Europe. They're doing lots of good things. But this January, I think, is fairly important. And it's quite clear, I think Mel mentioned at the start, those players we've got, they're not natural goal scorers. They're not going to... Traore suddenly ain't going to score you 15 goals a season. Trinco's not going to score you 10, 15 goals a season. Huang looked like he was on a bit of a run, and to be fair, he took his goals well, but then he seemed like he was going missing as well in a lot of games. So there's not an obvious... natural, apart from Pedro Neto coming back, that we've got a hope of trying to convert and score these goals. So I think we do need to go into the transfer window and look at whether it's a striker or someone just behind the striker or an advanced midfielder. We've got to create more and take more. When the chances come, we have to take those chances, because 13 goals is unbelievable. First 3rd of January, we've only scored 13 goals. defense brilliant. We know that. 17 home goals in the whole calendar year. 17 home goals. I think Man City scored that in 3 games. We've played for a year. You know, it is, that problem needs to be addressed, and that problem just isn't, you know, getting everyone fit and working together. I think we just haven't got natural finishers, comfortable, because we've had the chances. We can't say we haven't had chances. We've had some real good glaring chances.
Well, how many one-on-ones have there been?
We've had, and they just, the composure, the natural ability to hit the ball properly, low and hard, all those things that you think about of, like, you know, good strikers and good goal scorers. Wolves don't seem to have that in theirs. Traore doesn't fill you with any confidence if he's one-on-one. Trinco's the same, doesn't fill you any confidence. He's right in front of goal. Raul's coming back, and we know he can finish, but he's not quite there. So we need to address this problem.
The irony is that before the season, we were all talking about centre backs, and now it's all about attacking midfield. I mean, we needed a midfield. I still think we need to strengthen the centre back area. Don't forget, Bolly's. He looks like he's not going away with Ivory Coast. Saiz, we've got him for the 3rd, and then he's off. So he could be missing for 3 weeks, 4 weeks. I don't know how long. It depends on how far they go. And like what Mel said, he's been fantastic this year. Someone's going to have to fill in. Would you bring Sanderson back? Is Den Donker going to drop there? Are we going to play Marcel, Hoover? Who's going to drop into that role? If Cody's been carrying that knock for a little while. Kilman's been imperious, but if there's another injury after Saiz goes away, then we're in real trouble. Central
1 year. Cody's had that ankle injury for over a year,
and he's still carrying on with it. Every
he
time
just
he
plays
goes
with injections, he drains the fluid off his ankle, then he keeps playing. He's a warrior. He just wants to keep playing and playing and playing. But you know, the football, yes, defense has been tightened up. We can clearly see the improvements, and it's wonderful to see them so strong and organised and brilliant backs to the wall type performances, and keeping Man City out, you know, and keeping Liverpool out for 94 minutes, and that's real big achievements. But football's about putting the ball in the back of the net. It's about scoring goals. It's about celebrating. It's about, you know, and we literally will only score one goal if we do score one. You know, and we need to address this problem. We need some natural finishers in that side, which at the moment we just haven't got. Apart from, like I said, Neto excites me, him coming back, but we still need to strengthen.
Mel, if you're Bruno Lage, January window, and you've basically, they can say you can bring in 2 or 3 players, what you doing?
I want a midfield player that can score goals.
Attacking
midfield player, but
in what sort of mould?
That can, that's not Pedro Neto, that's not Trinco, that's not Adama Traore. In other words, a forward player. I want a genuine midfielder that can put other people in, but can score goals themselves. Like
gets in the box.
Fernandes for Liverpool, for Man United. Sorry, he did when he he first came there. He did really well. He's gone off the ball a little bit, but is that kind of player that can play centre midfield? That isn't just a number 10. In other words, they're not going to defend, but they can defend as well. Dendoncker does it a little bit for me in the fact that he can get box to box, but he's probably not the best with the ball at his feet. He finishes things first time with his head. He does a lot of things off the ball, and he's underrated for me by a lot of the fans because he just doesn't do it on the he doesn't do it on the ball. He's not somebody that is twinkle toes on the ball. He keeps it very simple, but his runs and his defensive work is different class. But we just need another option in there. And then you've got Wang, who we thought when he scored those 2 goals, he took these 2 goals against Newcastle really well. And everybody thought, we've got a striker that can play with Raul now. And then he's gone off the ball a little bit, but he can come back. I think he's done well. And then it's a matter of, I don't know how far away Pedro Neto is.
Apparently, he's coming back from Portugal to start training at Compton. So he'd been doing a lot of training away in Portugal. He's coming back to Compton now to build up his last phases of his rehabilitation. I think he might be pushing a place on the bench 3rd to 4th week of January, maybe early February. I think we're looking at.
Well,
and hangs out till February as well.
If you're looking, if that's the case, that's absolutely wonderful from a Wolves point of view. Because I think the kid's different class. I think he reminds me so much of Jota. I watched Jota for about 5 or 10 minutes, and I actually said live on radio, the second time he touched the ball, I said he's a player. I said I'm really impressed with this lad, and I think I underestimated him, didn't I? I think I understated it because I know it's brought up occasionally when I mention Jota, but I think Neto's in the same mould, and he could go on.
I think that's why they let Jota go, because of Neto.
Yeah. Well,
100%.
Plus the fact you can't look. You just can't keep a player if one of the top teams. Okay, Wolves are looking to be one of the top teams, but they're not yet. We aren't there yet. Your Liverpools, your Man Cities are there at the moment. So if one of those teams comes in, it's a bit like Grealish to Man City from Villa. You can't stop them going, and if as long as you get the right money or decent money, then that's it. That's the same with everything. So it's the same as if we take players from lower league clubs.
It's how it goes. It's how it happens, isn't it? So we've got
it's the same with everything, isn't it? So I think we're just desperately short of options in midfield to score goals, to really put the opposition under pressure.
If you've got that type of player in the midfield that can chip in with goals as well, it does take the pressure off the forward lads as well, doesn't it?
Well, of course it does. That's absolutely.
Yeah,
you look at your top teams, your Man Cities. How many goals does Gundogan score? How many goals do they all? They're chipping with these are central midfield players. They're not luxury.
We haven't. There was a stat somebody put in the top 5 leagues. I think we're in the bottom 5 of teams. This is a quite interesting stat. How many players we have in the box when a cross comes in? We have the least amount of players in the box when a cross comes in, because naturally a Moutinho or a Neves, their game isn't to break a neck and get in the box on the end of a cross, and that was quite known for every team to have like a box-to-box midfielder who would always appear in the box. That late run surprised the defence, and we haven't got that.
Your Steven Gerrards for Liverpool. Yeah. Your Frank Lampard for Chelsea.
Super Dave Edwards.
Well, yeah, Dangerous Dave. Yeah. Dave Edwards is a good point for Wolves. Dave Edwards is probably on a similar part to Dendoncker in the fact that he just arrives at the right time and what have you. But Dendoncker, for me, has got to start scoring more goals because he's capable of it. And
you see that lad? There's people have said who would
just before we just carry on, Amy, you've got to drop off, haven't you? Because you've just had some news.
Yeah, I've just got to drop off. So sorry, everyone. It was good to speak to everyone again, and hopefully be back on soon and see everyone at a game. So sorry for having to drop off, but I'll catch it with you. Catch it with you later. So
no
see you
problems.
all
Look
soon.
after yourself.
Thank you all. Bye.
Give my best wishes to Roy.
I will do. See you later. Bye.
Sorry about that. Carry on, guys.
Yeah. You know what? We don't at the moment. I think Bruno's decided on the way he wants to play with this type of team that he's got to consolidate. Because if he'd have lost another few matches after 3 defeats, the first 3, if he'd have lost another 3 and he's lost 6, so he's shored up the back. He's gone this type philosophy. So we're not going to create right now a plethora of chances like we did, where we got 20 chances and hopefully we take 1 or 2. We're only actually creating, 2 or 3 or 1 or 2 decent chances. So when they come along, you have to take them, and we're not taking them. So that's where we're suffering. So that's why I think if he's going to carry on and if it's going to take him 1 or 2 transfer windows to try and build his team playing the way he wants to play, we need someone a little bit. It's the hardest thing to buy, isn't it? A natural, someone who can stroke the ball into the net when the chance comes with a bit of composure. And then looking at names, one of the names I'll mention, which, you know, he's a Chelsea player, but he's on loan at Crystal Palace until the 1st of Jan or the end of the season. I don't know. But Conor Gallagher, for example,
he was quality.
They brought him in. They brought him in. He's a midfielder. He runs into the box. His composure when he finishes, you know, and that. So it just proves that you don't have to actually go to, you know, spend 60, 70 million or 50 million or 40 million or 30. You can actually. There might be a player here or there that's got a bit of composure that can get into the box.
He's been a great signing for Palace, hasn't he? I mean, he did well last season for West Brom, but I think he's done it. He's growing with every game, and I can see Chelsea bringing him back into their fold soon if he carries on the way he is.
Yeah.
Well, someone's just mentioned here. I mean, would you bring back Morgan Gibbs-White? He'd been having a fantastic season away on loan for Sheffield United.
You know what? For me personally, I'm thinking like, you know, we may have to bring people like Sanderson back if Seiss goes, if we don't bring in a defender. But I still want to bring something different because Morgan Gibbs-White's done really well, and he could come back and he could supplement our attack, and that might be part of his development. But I still, you know, I just don't see us having enough natural finishing talent at the club, and we still need to bring somebody a little bit extra, you know, and that's the proof of the pudding. If we want to be at the top, we want to be engaging with the sides. We can't be on 13 goals in December, you know.
The thing is, I'm just reading 1 or 2 of the comments that Dave's showing. Look, other clubs seem to just pull out the younger players and pop them in every now and again. Liverpool have done it. They've all done it. All the teams do it, and yet we don't seem to do it as much.
No.
And talk about, as you say, the £35 million man, Fabio Silva.
I think he needs a loan, don't you?
I'm just thinking, obviously, in training, etc.
He's not impressive.
No. Bruno doesn't fancy him, does he?
No. The game that Raul was suspended for, that was the game. If any was going to be a game, he'd play Fabio, but he didn't.
He did. The thing is, he played.
He's not even getting. Sometimes he's not even getting on when Wolves look to get a goal. He's putting everybody else on before him. I'm thinking.
I remember when Hwang got injured, who was in the side in place of Raul. He went with Hwang up top. Hwang gets injured, and still Fabio Silva's not the first one. He went with Pedence, you know, went with Traore, and then he brings Fabio on with like 90 seconds to play. And what you're going to do in the last 96 seconds, I don't know. So definitely, I think, you know, he's not Bruno Lage's signing. He won't look at him as a £35 million potential superstar. He will look at it as a young 18-year-old lad that's finding his feet and not ready for the first team yet. That's what Bruno
in that case, Manny, if he's not going to play him, he surely has got to be loaned out, like Morgan's been loaned out and Sanderson, so he can get that game time and practice and build up his strength, and he's, you know, in a competitive championship or something like that. If he's not going to play him, then he's got to go out on loan, surely.
I would probably say, someone's mentioned Luke Cundle. I reckon Luke Cundle's probably nearer the starting lineup than Fabio Silva. I just don't think Bruno fancies him at all, you know.
But the thing is, we haven't, unless you watch the reserves or the under-23s.
Yeah.
I can't remember seeing Luke Cundle play.
No, he has. He's actually scored 1 or 2 decent goals in a very poor side. He's actually done really well for the under-23s.
Sorry, that's what I mean. But I've not seen the under-23s.
Okay, yeah. He
So
has. I mean,
Jordan's back as well, isn't he?
The vast majority of Wolves fans haven't got a clue other than the first team.
That's right, yeah.
So you're looking at the first team. Now, I could walk past Lee Cundle in the street. I wouldn't have a clue who he is.
No.
And that's nothing to do with, because he hasn't had any exposure yet. He's been on the team sheet, and I've noticed he's been on the team sheet quite some time, and I'm thinking, but he hasn't had a chance. He hasn't even been on. Well, he might have been on. You know,
no, I don't think like a cup.
He might have had a short time on, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure whether he's made his debut yet. But
I don't think there's anyone natural. You know, we got Jordan. We had that Corbiano who we loaned out to Sheffield Wednesday, but I still think this is Fosun's test. I think they were quite clearly trying to show us that they were after players that they didn't get. They did. They came out and said, you know, Botman, Sven Botman, the defender, or Renato Sanchez, the midfielder. You know, and there were links there, but they didn't get them over the line. So I just think we need to bring in better quality finishing and goal scoring threat.
And that's what you pay the big bucks for, though, isn't it, Manny?
If we want to go that, we can't just rely on clean sheets, and because you know that pressure. The defense is under so much pressure then to make sure they keep a clean sheet to get a point all the time. If you're scoring goals, it releases that pressure. So, you know, we need to score goals, and that's the only way we'll improve. And we need somebody different who can score goals, I think. Yeah.
So looking towards the second half of the season, just to finish off on, what are your expectations? We'll go with you first, Mel, for this one. For the second half, you obviously get a lot of insights. You're there with the WM team. You probably have a little bit of media insight that some of us don't. But like, what are your expectations that at the end, by the time we come out of January, and what are the expectations and where Wolves have finished and what we'll achieve maybe in the cup over the next sort of 4 or 5 months?
Well, I think they should absolutely go for it in the FA Cup.
Yeah, I agree.
Please, hopefully.
Absolutely. I mean, I was absolutely disgusted earlier on with Nuno when he put out a really poor team
against Southampton. Yeah, that was one.
That was probably one of the most.
You've now reminded me of the lowest point of the season.
That was probably the lowest point of the year.
Yeah, of the year.
But
it was an opportunity, wasn't it?
It's a massive opportunity. That they don't realise. Some of the foreign managers just don't realise how big the FA Cup is, because the cups in other
they're not.
They're not as big. They don't realise what the FA Cup is.
Manchester United's manager this week came out and rubbished both cup competitions in his, because it provides too many games and we can't focus on everything,
Well,
this is it. Well, go and manage somebody else if you've got a problem, because that is our tradition, that's our history, that's our, that winning the FA Cup was a boyhood dream for not only players but for fans as well. The FA Cup final scoring and lifting the cup, and they don't I agree. They just don't understand that side of it, do they?
No, I think it's just understanding the culture, understanding the history, and that to endear yourself to the fans. Go and get us to Wembley. I mean that cup run against when we ended up throwing it away against Watford, but
I've still not watched that back.
Well, I can't watch it, but yeah,
it's a big opportunity, I think. I mean, we're on 25 points. We're 8th. We need realistically another 4 wins this season, and we're definitely going to be safe. I think we'll be a lot safer than that. And the FA, so we ain't going to really stress too much probably about the league. And any team who's in the Premier League can beat anyone on their day. We've seen that. And Wolves are certainly in that category. And if we've got a home tie against Sheffield United.
Well, the way you're right, Dave. The way that we've acquitted ourselves against the top teams, Liverpool, Man City, Chelsea, we've we've played very well against all three of them, and that's what says to me. And then the teams under that, your West Hams, your Arsenal. We haven't played Arsenal yet, but your West Hams.
We never beat Brighton. We beat them.
Yeah, we beat Brighton.
Your other teams. We know that on our day, we can beat them. And even if they get their best team out, we can still beat them. It might be back to the wall job, but we've got a team that thrives on being back to the wall, and we'll score on the, we'll score on the counter attack. But the thing is, we know we are capable of winning. Leicester did it last season. Leicester are now better than us. They've probably got more strength in depth squad wise.
And a bit more experience in that.
That's the difference. They've probably got a bit more experience and a bit more squad depth. That's why the right two or three players in January is going to make a hell of a difference. Now, whether those are what they're preferred to do is get players on loan with a view to buy, like you did with Jota, Neto.
It's worked for Wolves.
It's worked for Wolves.
Raul was the same.
Raul,
eight Norwich. Didn't they have him on?
So if we can just pick up, they must have people on their.
You know what? With all the criticism we give Fosun, we've already said they bought in.
The recruitment has been fantastic.
If you look at what they did with Ryan Aït-Nouri, they brought him in and then they sort of let the expiry date go and then went in with a lower price and got him. And you see the way he's performing now.
And he's been linked with City, Liverpool, PSG.
What a master stroke. Yeah, he has. Yeah. And so there has been good decisions there, and we know our squad is paper thin. But looking forward to 2022, 8th place for me is with the players he's got at his disposal is probably an overachievement by Bruno Lage, right? Because we would have probably thought we'll be mid-table or in that, and we're in 8th, but we won't stay 8th if we don't score goals. We won't.
Now, early season when we were talking and we hadn't won, I was saying I believed we could finish 8th to 6th, and I know I was being a bit like tongue-in-cheek, but there we're at. I'm probably not going to get to 6th. I think it's going to be hard to finish in the top 7. There is a bit of a gap.
Yeah.
But there is an opportunity. I mean, West Ham have faltered a little bit. United, I mean, maybe we could, we could put a run together. Who knows? But I think, like you say, if we finished 8th,
teams get relegated. Get relegated from the Premier League, by scoring a hell of a lot more goals than what we're going to probably end up.
Look at Leeds
with this season.
Look at Leeds.
Yeah. We can't. The pressure on our defence, and someone just mentioned Jose Sarr making those last-ditch saves. He's not going to. It's impossible to do that all the time. Goals have to be scored if we want to maintain where we're at. Yes, with maybe a couple, 2 or 3, Fosun surprise us. They bring in 2 or 3 players. They go all out, and they all work. We could potentially even be better than 8th, but I just can't see where we are is probably the maximum where we're going to be with this side unless we make some changes. And I can only see finishing like 12th to 15th if we don't score any more goals, for example.
And what about you, Mel?
I echo what Manny says. I think that we have to find ways of we have to find solutions.
The word.
Word of the year.
We're never going to use that next season. All right.
No.
We need a new one for next year.
The thing is, you just look at statistics. If you've got a top-notch striker, he'll score at least 1 in 2.
Yeah.
So you know what you're going to get.
20 goals a season.
20 goals a season. Or pushing it. If he has 15, a bad season, 20, he might score 15. If he has a really good season,
even you
20,
look at Stephen 25. Fletcher. Stephen Fletcher in the Premier League.
Well, you go for someone like Origi.
Yeah. Then you've got a situation. Yeah, that's a possibility. Then you've got a situation where you've got your other players. Now, I know just going back to when I played, we had a really good season, 79-80 when we won the League Cup. We probably had 3 or 4 players that were in double figures. there was Andy Gray, John Richards, myself, all got double figures.
Yeah.
For the season. And then when we went straight back up 82, 83, there was myself, Andy Gray, and Wayne Clark, all in double figures. But you're looking in there, we're going to struggle to get one player to get anywhere near double figures, let alone 3.
Last year, our top goal scorer scored 5.
And you're thinking
Raul was second top scorer, wasn't it?
And he didn't play half the season.
And you're thinking, but so they have to find a way to, they have to find a way to combat that, and that's all about players being what you would call positive, because this is a mindset thing as well. I believe it's a mindset thing. I really do. And sometimes people have to be brave. They have to be really brave in saying, right, can I make that run? It's like Lookman. You look at Lookman's goal against Liverpool for Leicester.
Yeah.
That was a great finish as well.
But it's a direct run. He carried on running.
It was the run that he made that was the big thing.
It was the run that made the goal.
Because he absolutely just run himself into the ground to get there in the first place. It was a good finish, but the big thing that made it was the fact that he ran, and the 2 Liverpool players that were the defensive side of him before, in other words, the right side, he ran past them both and got into the box and was that positive. And that's what you need. And we don't have enough of that. We don't have enough players that will bust a gut to get in the box where you can score goals. Because that's where you scored the majority of goals. Yes, you'll get a 25-yard rocket from Ruben Neves every now and again. But we're not even getting those now.
No, we don't.
Apart from the obviously the Villa game.
But
where
that wasn't a 25-yard rocket.
He planned that. He planned that.
Well, it was 19 yards. He was just, and he knew that he was going to. He's been practicing his billiards. He's in offs.
In off target as well. In off target, wasn't it?
That's it. So we've got to be more. You see, the thing is, if you create more goal scoring chances, you are going to have games where you'll have 10 or 11 presentable chances and lose 1-0. I've played in those, and it's a gutter if you're the wrong end of that. You're playing games where you'll be the other way, where we'll nick a goal, you'll defend for your life, but they'll miss chances, and you'll think, how the heck did we win that? But we'll take it. Thanks very much. But the vast majority of games, usually, if you create the most chances, presentable chances, you'll win the game.
Of course, yeah.
So we have to start being ruthless, and I can see this, and I watch the forward players. A lot of them don't really want to get in where it hurts to score goals, by the way. They haven't got they're not brave enough to go where you score goals.
There's 2 ways of running on a football pitch. One is running with the ball, and one is running without the ball. And when you see Wolves, we have got more runners with the ball than any other club. Neto can do it. Adama can do it. Trincao can do it. Dens can do it. Semedo can do it. But it's the off-the-ball running that actually makes a lot of the goals. It's when Lookman played that pass wide as a midfield, he was in a midfield position. He played that pass wide. His first thought is get in the box, head that way.
Can I get on the end of it?
Our players would play that pass to Adama Traore
and admire the pass,
and admire the pass, and then hope Traore beats 7 or 8 players and puts a great ball in.
How did Bruno Lage get Benfica scoring 100 goals?
Because
better finishers in the team. I'm sure they have. They're not anyone else.
Because he got them believing in themselves, and he got them on the front foot, and he got them being really positive without being. Now, there's a difference between. It's a bit like a boxer. If you go gung ho, you could get caught by one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've got to get the balance between being positive instead of just being on the defensive and just,
Because the way we played in the first 4 games was like that, wasn't it?
Well,
it was.
The way we played in the first 3 games because I think the fourth one wasn't really.
No, the first three it was they were just
the first three. Well,
fabulous. Yeah.
The first four really, because Watford we played well as well. We carried it on and actually got the result that we deserved in the first three.
Yeah,
but I was very impressed. That's why I realised then I wasn't worried at all when people were saying, "Oh well, you've played three, lost three, you're in the bottom three." And I said, "What's the way I'll look at performance first, especially over a few games or one game. You look at the performance because you're going to get anomalies in scores.
Also, yeah.
But over a period of time, if you're playing really well, you'll get more decisions than you'll get more results than you won't. Simple as that. And that's just law of nature. That's just the law, isn't it? So but I don't think that we put enough players in positions to score goals, and we don't make the runs. Now, whether it's because they're frightened sometimes that if they make the run and it doesn't come, they're going to get caught out going the other way, and the opposition will then counter-attack, and that'll put us under unnecessary pressure because we're building things from being really hard to beat. And so, therefore, we're probably a little bit too cautious. But I watch Bruno Lage on the touchline most of the time because there's a good position to watch him, especially in the home games, because I'm right behind him where I'm commentating from. So I can see what he's doing, and I can see him loads of times just telling players to get forward, get forward, get forward. So I don't think he's going to say that if he doesn't want them to get forward.
No,
but well, I'm looking, and there's a lot of them aren't proactive. They're reactive, but they're not proactive. Like Lookman was proactive.
Yeah.
A lot of them are reactive. They'll go, "Oh, the ball's. I've got a better run after that," as opposed to making things happen. We don't make things happen enough. And now I'm nitpicking here, because we're doing really well and I'm really pleased with how things are going. Yes, we need to score more goals. And I'm just giving an insight into how I believe that Bruno Lage is trying to get them to do that. But then if the present players aren't being as proactive as they can, or in other words, if they haven't got a football brain, they don't see it. They don't see it quick enough. They don't see, oh, that could develop there. I'm going because that could come into my area and I could score here, as opposed to watching it go around and going, oh, and then reacting to stuff that's too late because the defender's going to get there first. We need more natural goal scorers. Simple as that.
100%. And we're on we're into overtime now. So final thoughts, because we need to round it up. Manny?
Yeah. You know, I'm final thoughts. I don't want this situation we're in meaning that we can't attend football matches. So I just want fans to be at the games and just enjoy being at football again. And hopefully Wolves, I think it will be a consolidation period still. I can't magically see, 3 or 4 wonderful players coming in that score lots and lots of goals. So if we maintain the position we're in, will be a fabulous season, I think, with the team that he's had, and we then need to go on again. And the proof on Fosun will be on what they do and who they bring in and how they support. Because Mel's, a qualified person. We're fans. Everybody on the timeline, we're all pretty much saying the same thing. We need to score more goals. We need to be a bit more creative, and we need to take our chances. So I'm pretty much sure they also know that same thing. So that's their job. It's not our job. I've only got 50p on me, so they ain't going to buy a striker. It's their job, and if they want us to progress to that next level, the next level of being in Europe, being a regular side, being maybe even like a Leicester, where we're threatened for cups every year, where we threaten for the top 4, in some years, we need better quality, and that quality is right now is in the finishing areas. So, but I'm not negative about the end of the season or what's happened. I just think it's if someone gives me 8th place on May the whatever it is and a good cup run, then you're going to take that, I think.
And for you, Mel?
Well, I just think you only sing when you're winning. Simple as that.
Yeah.
And now, I've been really pleased with Wolves this season. After the shock, I think, for most people that Nuno left, and Bruno Lage, I think, has been a breath of fresh air. There's been more positives than negatives. We'll wait and see how Lage is supported by the board and the recruitment side of it. The recruitment side, by and large, not Bruno Lage. That wasn't a pun, but by and large, has been excellent over the last few years since Fosun came in. Once they got to grips with this football lark after the season, and then brought Nuno in. I think we've had the best time at Wolves for 30, 40 years. Simple as that. And it's been a long time coming, but it's been absolutely wonderful to have our club back on, not just back on the English stage or the British stage, but the world stage.
Yeah,
Wolves have got they've got 150, probably between 150 and 200 supporters clubs all around the world, and that's how Wolves have become a world brand. And I think Fosun understand that. Obviously, they're the business people, and that's been brilliant for them. But they know that if they can get us up a stage further in regularly competing for the top 6 to start with, then I know that their 10-year plan was they want to be competing top 4, Champions League every year, which you've got to aim high. If you aim for the moon, you might reach the stars or whatever is the saying. But yeah, we will wait and see. The proof will be in the pudding, won't it? So,
100%.
But from a Wolves point of view, I'm really pleased. Our club is on the world stage now. We're there. We're competing with everybody that we play against. All of the top clubs. And if you ask any club which team they don't want to play, we're going to be right up there as one of the teams that nobody wants to play. I'll tell you, because everybody knows that they're going to get a tough game, and that's the first thing that you want to do as a football club. Yes, it's all right to play really outrageously kind of wonderful football, as Man City do occasionally, as Liverpool do, as we've seen, and Chelsea. But we're just evolving. We've come out of decades of slumber, and we're now on the world map. And you wouldn't believe how proud I am to be an ex-player to play for my club, but also a Wolves supporter. It's been a long time coming, but it's been absolutely wonderful, and I'm so proud.
Well said, mate.
And
it's better it's better to come out of the Etihad, Man City's ground, shaking your head because you've had a really bad decision. This is a team that scored 17 goals in their last 3 games, by the way.
Absolutely.
Than walking out of Molineux because Barnsley have just beaten you. We're not in the world's worst position right now, and we all, quite naturally, you always want to look forward and you want the next best thing, and we want it overnight. We want it all to, and it does take time. And Fosun got it wrong, didn't they? They got Zenga in, they got Lambert in, then they got somebody in that showed us some great days, but then they've made the change again. So it takes time, it takes changes. And the Silva thing, it might be the biggest, cock up they've ever made. It might be. So they'll have to hold their hands up and fix that and bring somebody else in. But overall, I'm not a grumbler. I'm really happy with some of the real improvements we've made this season, especially all the positions we thought we were worried about have all been shored up. Now it's the the other side, that we just want Raul to, get well and get fit and get strong. Raul of old, the Neto coming back, supplemented by maybe the odd midfielder. Suddenly that looks really exciting, doesn't it? It feels really positive.
I'll tell you what. I think what you both said is really, really good. Someone put earlier on the chat, 8 years ago today, we were playing out a 1-1 draw with Leyton Orient. What? Just take.
And that was like a proper match. That was like a proper tough, the top of the league, because they were right up there. And you look at where Leyton Orient are right now.
Exactly. We have to sort of like, things aren't perfect at the moment. That's why we love football. We've got, and why the last 10, 15 minutes against Villa was so exalting, because of the pain that you have and the joy that it gives. But like, we're 8th, we're on 25th points, and we ain't reached our peak yet. We'll have to wait and see what happens in January. We have got players coming back. We do need to score more goals. I think there will be some investment in January. I think it's not just about what comes in; it's about who doesn't go out as well, and who does go out.
I think the Neves interview this week was really positive, wasn't he? Really, really positive. The guy's so settled, so happy, and saying, "I live in the moment. I live in the day. I'm really happy with where I live. I could end up playing my whole career here because this is the best league in the world." Obviously, he doesn't discount that he may move. Things might take a turn, or some manager or Wolves might want to cash in on him, like a Grealish situation, because lots of money come in. But it's really nice to hear top class, world class players, highly rated players, being happy at Wolves. That's a real big bonus for us.
We've also said every one of the last 4 years, we've kind of like, if he'd have gone, we'd have been like, he's still here, and he is a Wolf. I think he absolutely loves it. The other thing we must say to everyone before we do go is that, we do, all of us, wish you and your families, your loved ones and your friends, wherever you are in the world. It's been tough the last 18 months. We're entering a new year. Hopefully things will continue we're still going through some sticky bits, continue to head towards normal, but we do wish you a very, very happy, healthy and prosperous new year. And I know for some people, New Year Day and Christmas Day can be quite a lonely place. And the one thing that you have following your team, following Wolves, is you've got a community of people that you can bring together, and we all love the same things. So from myself, I'm sure Manny and Mel, you echo the same things. Wishing everyone all the best for the new year, right?
Yeah, happy New Year to everybody. Thanks for joining us today. All the help you give, not just the football, off football as well. You've helped so much. Raising lots of funds for some wonderful, vital causes, and keep connecting, keep talking, and like Dave says, if you feel a bit down, the one good thing about social media is it's a very easy way to connect. So send a message, reach out to people, and there'll be someone there who will speak to you, and just stay safe with the pandemic, and see you on the ones who are going on Monday. Fingers crossed that it goes on, start the year with a win. Well, yeah, I'd echo that. What Dave? You on WM duty for United, Mel? I am, yeah. Assuming it's on. So I was on the previous ones. I was on the Watford and Arsenal games, but obviously they've been called off. But I'm due to do the Man United game, all being well, and I'm really looking forward to it. Many happy times going to Old Trafford. So it'd be great because. Did you ever score at Old Trafford, Mel? Well, funnily enough, he's probably the last Wolves player who scored. Funnily enough, I am the last Wolves player to score a winning goal, not to score. I thought that was true. It was, yeah. But we won 1-0 about a couple of weeks before we won the League Cup against Forest, and we need that goal. We went to Old Trafford and won 1-0. He's going to mention that on commentary on Monday. It'll come out. It might get a mention, Manny. I'd be disappointed if you didn't. Put it this way: every game that I've been to up there, it has got a mention. I even got a mention on the TV at Pan Inter. You say, "Oh, the last Wolves player to score a winning goal here," and then it's me with the headphones on.
But we will see. But no, it'd be great for that record, so to speak.
What year was that, Mel?
That was 1980.
1980.
I think it was February 1980. Because March 1980, we won the League Cup. I think it was February 1980. It's 2 or 3 weeks before we won the League Cup.
Maybe if we do score a winning goal against United, that will be an omen that we go on and win a cup.
Well, that might be the case. Well, we'll see.
The United game and us winning the game, that would be amazing.
Fingers crossed. Well, with the way that United are going, the way that we're going, I wouldn't rule us out nicking it, actually. So it's going to be tough.
I hope we got a little bit of positivity in that, because where Liverpool, Man City and Chelsea are sort of a class apart in the league, Man City being on a different level, Manchester United are there to be got at, and I hope we got a bit of oomph of our attacking intention as well, and we can take that game. The
first game of the season, obviously, I know they've got a new manager now, and all going to show scars left. But yeah, they're playing. Yeah,
I ain't got a clue what they're playing, man.
The thing is, you talk about it's all about intent, because it's only 11 v 11, 10 out players v 10 out players. So formations have got people go on about formations, but really it's all about the players. The players make formations, players play in positions. It's all about players. And if you've got players, if you've got the best 11 players in the world that know the game inside out, you could literally tell them to just go out and play.
It's true.
Literally you could do.
Like that woman used to sing back in your day. That's what you used to do, isn't it, Mel?
Well, that's what we used to do. I mean, during the week, I just used to go and
open shops.
Just go open shops, cut the ribbon, cut the ribbon and open shops.
The boozer to the game.
Then I go around and cut the ribbon to
Owen.
Manny doing his samosa Saturday. I just go and cut the ribbon.
I'll have to get you. That would be really good. When we get to an anniversary, like the 20th one, we'll have to invite you to do.
I'm looking forward to your next one.
Okay, we'll do one towards the end of the season. It's a brilliant.
Yeah, when it's a bit warmer. Yeah,
a bit warmer. Yeah.
Right then, everyone. Bit of fans. We're just approaching the 2-hour mark. I don't know. It's the longest podcast we've ever done. I don't know where the time's gone. I really hope you've enjoyed it. If you're watching it live on YouTube or watching you back, please smash a like to the video. It lets YouTube that you know that you like it. Feel free to join in with the comments afterwards if you're watching it back. And don't forget, it's also going to be available on Apple, Spotify, and all good podcast providers either later tonight or tomorrow, so you can listen to it back. Either on your radio at home or if you're at work or driving, but listen it back to me, Manny, Amy, and Mel. Mel, thanks ever so much again for coming on tonight. Thanks to Amy as well. And of course, thanks to you as well, Manny.
Thank you very much.
Stay safe. Happy New Year.
My pleasure, Dave, Manny, and Amy, obviously, who's left us early. But Happy New Year to everybody.
All the best. And let's hope FA Cup 8th place or above. Come on, Wolves. Always Wolves, everyone.